Hello, everybody. I'm Pax.
I'm Hal.
And this is Brotakus, the show where two guys who love anime do a deep dive on what is and isn't worth watching. We believe you don't need a major in anime studies to enjoy this wild, beautiful, strange art form, and we are lucky to have you on this journey with us. Today, we are joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the infinite educator, the great teacher Onizuko-ass motherfucker himself. Yeah. Nicholas Martinez is a Japan-based teacher and lovely human being, one of the kindest people I have ever met, and one of the greatest homies in the universe. Nick, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's nice to be here, Pax. Hal, thank you for inviting me onto this podcast.
Oh my! Of course, Nick. Of course, we were so excited. So Pax approaches me one day and was like, "Yo, Hal. So, I know we're talking about new episode ideas. I know we're talking about what are the Brotakus up to next." And he was like, "Yo, I have a homie in Japan right now." And I was like, "Shut up. No, you don't, Pax. You're a liar and
I
you're
said,
cheat."
"Man, I got bitches in Japan. I got bitches in Taiwan, bitches in Paris. I am Mr. Worldwide, Pitbull in the flesh."
Absolutely. And so I was like, "Well, who is this? Who is this homie in Japan?" And he was just like, "Yo, my homie Nick in Japan. He's a teacher. He's a hottie. He's a badass. He's multilingual. He's incredible." And I was like, "Yo, let's have him on the show." So of course. But first of all, Nick, what time is it right now in Japan?
9:15, 9:14.
9:15. So for all of you watching right now, there is a 14-hour time difference. So scheduling this episode was a time and a half. It was a fun barrel of monkeys that we got to go through. So right now it is 7:16 officially here in the Hudson Valley of New York. And we are so hyped to be having this time span difference across the world right now.
Absolutely. So coming into it today, we actually have a little something in the Brotaku's news corner, news update, news alert. And this is related to the great the great art form of anime. And for this, Nick, I've never met a Japanese person before, and so it's great to have you on the podcast as our first Japanese person that I've heard of. Actually, not everybody watches the video thing. Nicholas Martinez is not a Japanese person.
No, not Japanese.
He's not a Japanese person, but he is slightly Japanese lingual, and that's all we need to get your 2 cents here. So, the title of this, it's from comicbook.com. It is Toei Animation earns backlash after refusing labor talks with LGBTQ union rep. And so Toei Animation, their animators have a union, and there are several unions associated with the industry over there. We support unionization. We are big on workers' rights. We are big on the holiness of labor. Own the product of your own, effort. We love that here on Brotaku's People's Republic of communism. And this is very important, the whole LGBTQ union rep, because we've only had gay people on the podcast. All of our listeners, I don't know if you know this, but yeah, only gay people, only gay hosts. If you listened, you're gay. Yeah. Everyone, it turns you gay. It's like the frogs. It's like what they're feeding the frogs to turn them gay. So all our fellow Sigma Alpha Omicron males out there, Decepticon males here are here for this little update. So Toei Animation has found itself in hot water with fans around the globe over a controversial labor dispute, and this is some of the biggest bullshit I've ever had. So I'm gonna read this out, and we want some reactions from the crowd today. So its global reputation has taken a hit after Yahoo News reported on Toei Animation's refusal to do labor negotiations with a local union. The refusal was set forward as Toei accused the union's representative of using a false name after being informed the spokesperson went by a name that better suited their gender identity. And so I thought at first, a false name. Is this someone who's in the witness protection program? Is this somebody who is, pretending to be somebody else or pretending to be their own evil brother with a mustache? Nope, it's just a trans person. So, according to the Anime News Network, the representative was accused of using a false name during labor negotiations. The union rep identifies as X-gender, meaning they're neither male nor female. And I need a little bit of an update or correction on this article. That's just Japan's kind of like third gender category. You can have X on some of your government documents if you jump through the proper loopholes. It's difficult, but you can get it. In light of this revelation, Toei sent the union a letter which dead names the representative and accuses them of majorly damaging the relationship of trust between Toei Animation and the labor union. So initial responses.
That's
responses.
That's a lot. That's a lot to take in. And the reason that it's a lot to take in, it would be like the way that Toei Animation is describing this. Imagine like going into a negotiation room and Bruce Wayne is in the room, right? And then you do your deal, you find out you get a Batmobile and then you're like, weird, this kind of looks like Batman's car. And then you're like, oh my God, Bruce Wayne is Batman. and it kind of sounds to me like that's what you're saying, like, how could he do this? How could he lie to us? He's actually Batman, but it's Bruce Wayne at the same, and so like that's kind of what I'm picturing Toei Animation, like finding this person's name and then being like, wait a sec, that's not the name that I heard in the room. What's going on here? So I think this person is like to equate someone who is trans with someone who is like a vigilante and like uses a false name is just insane. It is insane to me.
Here's the thing. I'm going to hop in. My new headcanon is that the next villain that Batman faces, because I love that interpretation, is going to be just a transphobic supervillain named the Silver Turfer. And he's going to be someone where his main problem with superheroes is he's going to be like, oh yeah, Batman, you go by Batman, but bet that's not what it says on your fucking birth certificate, is it, Batman? And it's like, oh, Batman, you want to use the bathroom of a man, and yet you half bat, you fucking lib? Are we encouraging the breeding of the genders now? Just someone who has like the object permanence version of words, like object impermanence, but with words, who just cannot understand, like, oh, Superman, and yet you're not a man, you're an alien. What the fuck is going on with the libs? Like,
Nick, what are your thoughts? Nick N, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts is that I've actually experienced something like this before in Japan, and I know other people have experienced stuff, not with the different communities and the gender differences and stuff like that, but like names on documents is a huge deal in Japan. I've had people get really fucked over because the wrong name is on the wrong document and it doesn't matter anymore. Or even your first name and your last name are switched. And you have to go jump through hoops to try and fix that shit.
How does that happen? Does someone like go in and be like, I'm going to go through all someone's birth certificate?
Ah, yes, the Silver Surfer returns again. They're going to think they're all trans.
like I've switching people's first names and last names and like being able to inherit all of their estate because of it.
No. Like it's mostly a problem for like foreigners like me. Like, so Nicholas Martinez and then Martinez Nicholas. And because like in Japan, your family name usually goes first, and then your like first name would go last.
Okay.
Sometimes they just don't know the difference between the two, so they switch them. So I had a big problem trying to find like my banking details when I first moved here, because I was telling them like my family name first, and then my first name last. Like you would do it in an official document.
Yes.
But they just had it switched, and because of that, they could not find my documents easily.
So. Okay, gotcha. So it was just an assumption on their part being like, oh, well, he said this name first, so obviously it should be the other way. He's just dumb. We'll fix it for him. It's good. And then you're like, hey, I literally can't access any of my monies. What do I do? And they're like, who are you? Martinez Nicholas? Is this you? Because that's not what I'm seeing here on this piece of paper.
Yeah, they'll be really restrictive. Actually, I have a friend who lost her apartment because the wrong name was on her contract. And
so this is no fault on the person on the person whose name is being written down. This is the fault of whoever is taking these names down and
like
putting
the
them on
company.
Yes.
Yeah. Obviously there was a huge translation problems too, but long story short, and it's not really my business, she moved into an apartment with somebody. She specifically said, please put my name on this apartment as well. Then that first person moved out of the apartment. And then it came time to renew the contract for the apartment. They did not put her name on it. So they had to renew the apartment. And if we ever get into talking about apartments, you know how much money it is to get a new apartment.
That's absolutely something we're going to talk about later.
She was supposed to pay for all the new, like what you would have to normally pay for a new apartment, which we'll talk about later, I guess.
And so I love how, going back to the Toei animation, I love what this union representative tells Yahoo News afterwards. First of all, the fact that Yahoo News is the company that blew the whistle on this. Like, can you imagine being like, boss, our numbers are plummeting. We don't have any views for Dragon Ball Super anymore. And then the boss gets up and he's like, well, what's going on? I don't understand. Who found out? And they're like, it was Yahoo News. Like, that's such a weird. Okay,
it was Jonathan Yahoo himself. He broke the story.
So what this union representative tells Yahoo News is, in the first place, there are many married people who work under an alias, and the name I use for collective bargaining has nothing to do with the name on my family registry. For me, just looking at my family registry name is painful. To be on the receiving end of such a discriminating act by the company made me feel disappointment, sadness, and pain. And so, like, it really does just completely be like, oh, yeah, you want to be known by this name? No. That's it.
Well, in the allegory to kind of like the fact that like people who get married change their names, and even though Japan does have this intensity around names, and the fact that like when you watch anime, you'll hear them say the family name first: Uzumaki Naruto, Itachi Sasuke. Uchiha Sasuke.
Itachi Uchiha Sasuke.
Great. Welcome to Stroke Takus. Anime coward. So the thing that I think is especially rich here, though, because in my view, this is obviously just like transphobic motivated stuff. Because otherwise, if you learn someone like had a new name because of a remarriage or a divorce or, you know, some reason like that, you would find ways to work around it. But the fact that Toei Animation choosing to kind of like fuck over the labor dispute by creating this thing and saying like, this has majorly damaged the relationship of trust between us, like, is such a scummy, like, business tactic. It's a business tactic. And Nick is a person where the first time I fell in love with Nicholas Martinez, college, Nicholas is a brilliant game master. And so Nick created a whole homebrew RPG system based in around One Piece powers. And we played in a crew of pirates.
That's lit.
And so I bring this together with and those old days with Captain Chico Fuckboy of the faming Flaggots.
Wait, I've heard of Captain Chico Fuckboy.
You have.
I've heard of their exploits. It was incredible.
Yeah. So why I bring that up though is Grant, I would love to shit on Dragon Ball and Toei for being connected to Dragon Ball, just because I'm a One Piece stan, Hal is a Dragon Ball stan, but they are both under Toei Animation. And why this transphobia is especially galling is, Nick, is anybody trans in One Piece?
Yeah, right? Right? Like, I'm pretty sure. Like,
dude, there's Bon Clay. There's a whole island of trans women. There's like Ivankov.
I'm trying to think of like an arc that doesn't have at least like some kind of like something like that. Like one arc that doesn't have that. Like since Alabasta, right?
Yeah, it's like trans characters in every arc, and I mean, even in Wano, they have. I don't know if you're caught up with Kiko. The new samurai. Yeah. Oh, she's so fucking cool. She's my favorite. She's my favorite so far. But anyway, it's like this typical thing where you'll profit off of it, and you'll profit off of like shows like they might even have a hand in a show like Yuri on Ice or things like that. But when it comes time to like interact with literally one person, they'll use it as an excuse to fuck over their labor. And for that, we give Toei Animation Donkey of the Day. That was a bad donkey sound.
I'm looking forward to the next episode of Dragon Ball Super, the next arc, where Goku and Vegeta beat the fuck out of Frieza because he decides to be known as they. Changes his pronoun.
Frieza using that pronouns, fuck.
It's like, hello, Goku, you filthy monkey. Before we begin, I'd like you to know that I go by they. I'm no longer Lord Frieza. I am the, oh fuck, I can't think of it!
You will refer to me by your majesty, Frieza.
Yes, like, your grace, Frieza.
Your highness,
I'm just like, hey, Kakarot, let's just beat the dick. Fuck! Let's just kill
him! Okay, we got the Silver Turfer and we have transphobic Vegeta, our new hit characters on Brotakus Anime Club. Oh god! So bringing us away from what planet does DBZ take place on?
Earth?
Seriously?
Yes. Yes, it takes place on Earth.
No way.
Yes. Granted, there are dinosaurs running around, and the president of the planet is a dog, but it's still Earth, Pax, okay?
Hey, compared to some of our previous presidents, I wouldn't mind having. There's a Cheeto in the White House. Okay, moving back down to earth.
Oh my God! So Nick,
we have a guest here today, exactly.
Yes.
So Hal, take it away.
Yes. So Nick, thank you first of all for being with us today. We're clearly
God bless
feeling
you.
zany, and Pax is drinking some of his G Fuel.
G Fuel, Sigma
Uh,
male.
So Nick, I have to know, what was it that sparked your interest in Japan? What was it that made you decide, I really want to become fully immersed in this culture. I want to be fully immersed in just the people, learning everything I can about the country. What was your journey with that?
So honestly, with starting college, I'd have to say, and it's not really a pretty start, but it's also just kind of out of luck and not knowing what to do myself. So like,
How do you mean luck?
I'll get to that. So come to the start, like the end of college, I had just gotten out of a really serious relationship, unfortunately, where she kind of cheated on me. But so at the end of that, I was just like, I don't really know what the hell I want to do. Blah 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 blah. So after I graduated, I had a major in criminal justice because I'm not good at school, and it was easy. But we
I
can
have
talk
a
about that another
BFA
time.
in musical theater, so but continue.
I worked in parks for most of my life, so I ended up doing a volunteership in Boston, doing like parks construction and historic reconstruction of old buildings and blah 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 blah. But it was a volunteership, and towards the end of it, one of the goals for me to get hours was to work on my resume and apply to jobs. I applied to a lot of typical jobs I probably should with my kind of major and my past work experience in parks. I applied to a bunch of MPS jobs. I applied to some college, university, police jobs.
Hero agencies?
I'm sorry?
Hero
agencies? Yes, exactly. I wish.
Okay.
And blah, 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 blah. And then I put one application out to this job in Japan because I was like, why not? I don't know what else to do. And I kind of want to do teach-in, but I don't have the degree for it to do it anywhere in the States. I'm in Japan now.
Wow.
After a couple interviews, a mock lesson I had to record, a couple more interviews, and then go into the embassy in New York a couple times to get my passport sorted out. I ended up in Japan come like March 2019 March.
Wow. So that's first of all, congratulations. That's really, really, really cool.
Thank you.
Brotakus, round of applause.
Yeah. So that must have been just absolutely wild. It really must have felt like you were flying by the seat of your pants at this point.
Yeah, like I started the application process sometime in September, and then October I was doing the interviews, and then November I was doing the mock lesson, and then December I was accepted. And
wow,
from
just
December,
that quick.
yeah, from December to February, I was getting all the embassy stuff done. And I was originally planning to work somewhere in Chiba. So like I was given 3 options of different places I wanted to work, and for like liability reasons, so I'm going to try and keep what places are to a minimum. I get 3 different choices of companies I could work for, and I got stuck with one of them. And I was originally going to work on the Chiba Peninsula, and then they're like, "Hey, a brand new school opened up. Do you want to just go work at that one instead?" I was like, "Hell yeah!" And now I'm like an hour south of Tokyo by train, and I work at a school that opened up this like in April, and we're like the first teachers there, first ones working, and I feel like really part of the community of the school because like I didn't join a family, I started one kind of in the school.
So Nick, it really sounds like this is the opening for like a new anime. This really sounds like it's a really, really great shonen that's about to get started. Like Nicholas Martinez, a young boy living in America, suddenly gets a chance to go to the strange and wild world of Japan to teach children at this new school that popped up in the middle of... And he's going to be the best teacher in all of Japan. First in Tokyo, then in Chiba, then everywhere in the world. He's going to be the ultimate teacher. Join Nicholas Martinez on this crazy journey. And then the anime intro happens.
I wish it was that exciting, but like it definitely does feel like an anime. Like for the first month I lived here, I think every morning I woke up, I looked out my window, I was like, "Holy fuck, I live in Japan."
Oh, yeah.
And then like like anime, like you watch an anime anywhere like that, like it shows like the streets of Japan and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, that must be fake. It's like, no, I shit you not. I look out the window, and that's what I see. I see the same things that they draw in those animes. The roads look the same, the little walls of the houses look the same, the electrical lines look the same.
People
The
getting
convenience
punched through
stores
walls, it looks
look
exactly
Okay.
the same.
Maybe sometimes.
Okay, cool. Cool.
But like, obviously, after the first year or so, it calmed down. But like, I still do have moments where I wake up and I look outside. And I'm just like, wow, I live in fucking Japan.
Of course.
So that's really awesome.
Of course. And so, like, you've been there since 2019. You've been living large, teaching children, learning your shit, becoming the best teacher in Japan. And then what happens in March of 2020? The new villain appears, the big bad, COVID-19.
Nicholas Martinez was a simple, everyday, ultimate teacher with the biggest dick in the world, but then one day in March, the tragedy struck.
Yeah, so to backlog that, actually, because Japan was closer to China, we actually got affected by it a little bit earlier than you guys. It started sometime like late February for us. It wasn't until like the Japanese government was really slow though. Until like the start of April, we didn't actually have to do like very intense things to.
No, that's true. When me, Bill Clinton, and Borat were partying in the Wuhan district, we did hit Japan first. So when we were on kind of our world tour there, that was the first place we hit.
Hokkaido. That's where I got affected the most.
So Nicholas and I, not to give away too much of your bio, but we were both reared in Long Island, the happiest place on earth. And Long Island was hit with COVID so hard that if you anywhere in the world even think about having a bagel, one of your lungs explodes. That's how hard Long Island was hit by
still
COVID.
Feel that sometimes.
I know, right? I miss Lefty. But if you combine like some of the districts, God, what am I saying? Counties in Long Island, Nassau, Suffolk, and Westchester County combined have a higher total death count from COVID than the entire country of Japan. Entire country of Japan hasn't even hit 8,000 deaths yet. But that said, they're still taking a lot of precautions. So could you, as Hal was saying, kind of describe what some of the situation is in Japan post-COVID?
Yes. So given a little bit more background, I teach English specifically to actually preschoolers. I'm more of a nursery teacher than anything. So my students are anywhere from 2 years old to 6 years old. And we segment them by grade. So actually it's the 2 and 3 year olds and then blah, 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 blah. So late February, COVID started happening in Japan and the government was kind of lax about it because like they had the Olympics coming up and they didn't want to cancel that because that's like their main source. They were like so prepped for it. They were so ready for it. And Japan's school year starts in April. So, like, that's kind of a big deal. So then by early March, schools were just, like, canceled. Like, actual schools. So, like, students stopped going to school late March. That didn't affect us because we were a nursery. So we still kept going full swing. Then early April, like this very first day of April, they're just like, yeah, we need to do the lockdown. Now, my school actually caters to more wealthy individuals, more wealthy families. So a lot of the families that we have were actually essential workers. So they still had to send their kids to our school. So we stopped curriculum for English, and we were just a full-time nursery. We had like A shift, B shifts, because we had a half the kids come into our. We only really wanted like the essential workers families to have their kids come. So I'd work A and B day or A days, and then somebody else worked B days. And so that was like our lockdown, and that persisted for about a month and a half, and then like Japan was doing a lot better, so the lockdown like let go a little bit, and we started doing the curriculum again after that. And since then we've been doing the curriculum. Only 2 times where we had an employee actually test positive for COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But after an investigation, there was no like merit of contact or something like that is what they called it. So like they disinfected our school. We had a day off, and then we went right back to work.
They killed the guy, and everything's good now.
Right,
Yep,
right, right.
exactly.
None of the children had to get Anakin Skywalker. It all worked out. That's great. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
They are all in stormtrooper outfits now to prevent spread, though.
Yes.
Everyone's got the Teacher Nick situation going on.
All staff members do need to wear masks, so
Well, that's
but that's
good.
normal.
That's
But
pretty
so-
much the same.
And something you said about masks is that masking was already kind of part of Japanese culture, right?
Oh yeah, like if you watch an anime, that's a basic city one. You see some people with masks. You see videos of people with masks. Like I think I remember telling you, like masks were common here. Like it was a cultural thing. Like if you're sick, you put a mask on. That was before COVID. Like if you just had the flu, or if you even had just allergies and you're sneezing and coughing a lot, you put a mask on.
Mhm.
So like that was very normal for people. So when the government said, "Please wear masks at all times,"
They're like, word.
they're like, "Okay, let me just take my mask from my mask box that I already have and put it on when I go out for work today." It wasn't like America. It's like mask. What kind
like
of mask?
Like
Do I need
Bruce
to wear
Wayne
a
wears
white
on my
mask?
Right. Well, hang on a minute. Bruce
Does it
Wayne
need to be-
is Batman. You know, if you didn't have your mask on, I wouldn't even know. Like just so what you're telling me is that Japan didn't face this sudden surge of people rushing into grocery stores, buying all the toilet paper, buying every disposable mask and thermometer that they can grab, and like fighting people to the death in the streets over it. Like that wasn't a thing in Japan?
No, definitely people were still buying a lot of toilet paper. I actually had to steal toilet paper from work.
Okay, see,
respect.
so, you know, at the risk of derailing this entire episode to talking about the toilet paper shortage of 2020, I just think it's kind of insane that toilet paper could have become like the currency of our new Mad Max universe of COVID. That like, you know, people were gonna like be like murdering each other over toilet paper, using it to gain entry into like safe houses, like just insane how
Here's the
toilet paper
main
became
issue.
gold.
Here's the main
But-
issue. The whole American obsession with smearing poop around your poopy butt with paper and not using a bidet. Thank you very much, Tushy, for giving me my bidet that I have at my house, because it's a life-changing thing. And so, like, most other countries that have bidets and have the technology do not have to, like, constantly be, like, filling up on toilet paper all the time. I don't know if that's at all what you were going to say, Nick, but, like, do you find that toilet technology is better over there?
Oh my
Yeah, tell us
goodness,
about the
I remember-
bidet, Nick. Tell us about your most intimate experiences with the bidet.
So the first time I lived in Japan, I've lived in 3 different apartments so far. The first one was my company provided for me for like the first month while I find an apartment, and it was like a dorm. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Like it was kind of like a dorm, so I had to share a bathroom, but I had my own room. I went in the bathroom, and I sat down, and the toilet was warm. I was like,
How cozy.
that's my favorite thing.
See, like that's kind of like sharing a spoon with somebody, or kissing like one person, then your brother kissing that same person. Like really, what is the term? Eskimo brother? Is that a thing? Is that racist?
That is, but that's not kissing your brother, and I
no,
don't know.
not kissing your brother. 2 people kissing the same person.
You know that thing where you kiss your brother, they ask
Yeah,
him
you know
brothers,
that
right?
thing.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're Kentucky Fried Kin, baby. But that's not why you were saying the toilet was warm, right, Nick? Like,
No, there's just heaters in the seat.
it had a warmer in it. Yeah.
There are heaters in the seat?
Yeah.
Really? So like you don't sit down and like the shock of the ice cold toilet seat doesn't wake you up in the morning? That's not a thing you
Nope.
experience? Oh.
Nope, just the pleasant warmness of
Hmm.
sitting on a toilet. Like
That
I
could
don't
be
know.
unsettling.
It was a little bit, but I definitely got adjusted to it. And I
I
actually
think I'm just ignorant. I think I'm just
prefer it
ignorant.
now. Like I like it now, but I actually am not used to the bidets.
No.
Like in my current apartment, I figured it out. There's like the base ceramic toilet, right? And then there's the toilet seat. The toilet seat is removable, and you could buy a new one of those.
Mhm.
So my current apartment has one of the ones that have a bidet, but I just don't turn it on because I don't use it like that.
Now here's the thing. I was wary at first, and as an actual, we were clowning about the gayness before. As an actual like queer individual, I've done some butthole spelunking in my time.
Sure.
But I thought that like at first when people were like, "Oh, the bidet is amazing, it's life changing," I thought what they were literally saying is they were getting like actual like pleasure from the bidet. But then I realized like, no, it's not like the bidet is fucking you. It's not. It doesn't like form a watery fist and like go. It's like that's not it. It just literally it just washes like your butthole and it cleans you, and then you drip for a second, and then you with like one little square just toot, 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 and that way you don't have to be in Walmart acting like an animal fighting people for toilet paper, and now you have 2 glass eyes and no clean butt. Like,
I would love to. I think I'm going to write a new paper. I'm going to write a paper, and maybe Pax, maybe you can do a video essay about the homophobia and the bidet and how the two intertwine in Western culture. I would love to learn more about that because, you know, every time I hear the word bidet, there's this weird like, well, I mean, like, you know, is this weird feeling surrounding this? Yeah. I'm not really sure what it is, but it's prevalent. Whenever I hear the word bidet, it's like, hey, well, do you get fucked in the ass too? You know, it's just like very much like there's no in between. And I'm kind of, I might get a bidet. Who knows?
This podcast is sponsored by Tushy. Tushy. Go to tushy.com/Brotakus and clean your butthole. Speaking of cleaning our buttholes.
Yeah.
And cleaning in general, this is something that Nick mentioned to kind of change the topic off of this. Although I do want to go feel some nice warm seats instead of having to like warm them up with my breath, breathing on public bathroom seats for 10 minutes.
We can talk. I would love to talk to you more about that later, but continue.
I created the COVID pandemic. It was me. Come get me. Come get me, Biden. Okay. Something that you said to me, because I was asking you about culture shock, and you're normally pretty like well adjusted when it comes to like the Japanese like disposition, but cleanliness, you said in general, was a big sticking point. So can you kind of expound on that?
So like, obviously I lived in Long Island, so I've been to New York City a couple times. There's trash everywhere, but like as an American, you look around, you're like, there's trash everywhere. This is normal. It is a city after all. Then you go to Tokyo and like, there isn't. And you're like, where's the trash, man?
No soda cans?
I mean, like, you'll find some. Like, of course you'll find some on the ground, but, like, nowhere the amount. Like, it depends where you go in Tokyo, too. But, like, nowhere the amount, like, that there is just in New York City.
No,
everywhere.
Like, overly aggressive pigeons flying around? Like, none of that?
No, the worst is crows. Actually, I just walked out to get coffee today, and there's a crow literally dragging trash across the street because it's trash day for unburnables. So the crow is having a feast on some, like, rotten onions, rotten pears, and stuff like that. But like that's all the trash that was on the entire street. Like I walked down the whole street. The only trash out was because a crow dragged it out of a trash can.
I love the idea that crows are Japan's pigeons. That like instead of like you're sitting there eating a hot dog and you're like, oh look, a little pigeon. Let me throw out some breadcrumbs. Instead, you're like sitting there having some sushi and you're like and you're like, oh my god.
No, and they're freaking huge. They're massive.
Oh, they're big boys too.
They're huge here. They don't really come up to you though.
So they're like Pokemon. You're like Murkrow hopping around the street.
No, yeah, Murkrow, exactly.
Like a 30-foot wingspan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's freaking
You're like,
massive.
you try to shoot it away and it like hits you with like pursuit, like a Pokemon move.
I was out with a friend on a hike and this must have been the first time she saw a crow up close and she's like, that's fucking huge. I was like,
and then it hit you with Shadow Ball and you were just like, yeah, we should probably keep our distance.
Yeah, exactly.
When you said even on hikes, you didn't notice trash, right?
Yeah, no, like you could go for a pretty typical hike. Like Japan has the mountains really close, so like people in the city will go out to the mountains to hike. It's pretty normal. There's no trash out there. People just don't litter. Like they have this mentality.
In Long Island, I once saw a deer with 2 separate bags of potato chips of different brands stuck on each antler. Like that's the level of things I've seen in Long Island. So like the idea of a wilderness with no trash at all is immensely respectful, right?
Yeah. Like the parks around here, just like the tiny parks. It's the trash. People just don't litter. Like they respect the environment they live in, and they don't want to make problems for other people who also live in the area. Like,
imagine that.
Things.
Yeah, imagine that common decency. How available is that in Japan? Would you find that like a lot of? Here's what I've heard in my ignorance. I've heard that Japanese culture is very much about respect. It is very much about respect for your superiors, respect for your equals, respect for people who are from a social status like a little lower than you even. Like it's very, very much about respect to your fellow man. Would you say that's correct? Would you say that's not true? What would you think?
I would say it's correct, but there's definitely a negative connotation to it too. Also, like it's socially forced respect, and like you don't necessarily always like. obviously nobody's going to come up to you and be like, you need to respect your blah, 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 blah. It's just kind of like, I've seen it as the Japanese stare. But like, if you're not doing something that's socially acceptable, everybody gives you like, what is it in manga? Like, you staring
like the
at you
menacing over their heads. Like everyone has the word menacing. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, like that's what I've seen. Like, so like, people are, it's hard to say empathetic, but they act it like that. So like, they want to treat things nicely and make it so everybody else is doing okay, because they don't want to make a problem, cause a scene, and everybody stare at them. Because like, the rudest Japanese people I ever met, I could count on one hand. I think it was like 2 or 3 people, and the rudest thing they've done to me was that they just actively talked too fast for me to understand, and they seemed to be a little annoyed that I couldn't understand them. And that was like 2 or 3 people, and that's the rudest I've ever experienced a Japanese person be. And they're like typical like fast food workers. Like somebody worked at a convenience, and another person worked at a udon shop or something like that, and it was like, that's it. So like, the fact that that was the worst case scenario, and I don't understand the language, so I kind of understand why they're upset with me. Like, it's pretty fine with me.
A guy yelled at me by Grand Central Station yesterday because I couldn't understand what he was saying through the mask, and I wanted a bagel, and I was ordering a plain bagel with roast beef, and he was like, "What?" And I was like, I'm ordering for someone else. I just want a plain bagel with roast beef. And they're like, "What are you talking about?" And I was just like, I don't know. Please stop. Please, here, take my money. And he's like, hey, get over here. Look at this guy. You take him. I don't want to talk to him. And I'm just like, I just want a bagel.
Yeah.
I would have responded the same way if you ordered a plain bagel with slices of roast beef.
It wasn't even mine. I was just like, I got the bagel. I got a bagel with lox and cream cheese and avocado. And my father said, "Hey, can I have a plain bagel with roast beef?" And I was like, "Hey, Dad, that's kind of whack.
Dude,
I think I'm going to get
Of course,
mugged."
that was your dad.
Yeah, I'm like, "Hey,
guilty.
Dad,
That's something I would order too, though.
Yeah, I'm like, "Dad, that's pretty whacked. I think I'm going to get shot."
No
in this
condiments?
place." Yeah, first of all, I did sort of understand why he would be confused, but it wasn't so much that he was just like, "Oh, could you possibly explain that to me? I'm having a little trouble." Like, huh? What do you mean? Is that something that you would normally order? So it's like, "Hey, check this idiot out. Hey, someone come over here and talk to him because I'm tired of seeing his stupid ass face. Like, I'm done with this idiot."
Hey, check out roast beef guy. Look at Mr. Roast
Check out
Beef
Mr.
Guy.
Plain Bagel. No sesame seeds on his bagel, schmuck.
What?
Like,
That's
It was a
normal.
plain bagel, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah.
What did the war do to your father, dude? Like, what
I'm
happened?
learning more. And then
That's
the other
totally
night I was
something I
like,
would order, though, too.
Is it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Egg bagel, slightly toasted, a little bit of butter, and like 2 slices of roast beef.
Cool bagel choice.
Good.
You
good,
had
good.
butter on it. Those
You
are
did
two
have butter,
things
and
that
it was
make
an
that
egg
different.
bagel. Anyway, let's walk away from bagels.
Oh my god,
and
my
rude
lungs.
people.
We're with this bagel talk. I'm dying.
So Nick, so you're talking about like culture, talking about, what it's like to sort of step out of line in Japan, just by being foreign and not knowing its customs yet. How was it acquiring an apartment? Because, talking to people and learning the rules is something that's kind of important if you want to live there. And there are a lot of hoops you got to jump through to get an apartment. So, like, what was that experience for you?
Yeah, so I actually got pretty lucky. I got wicked lucky. So the company I work for is actually super really nice. It's really helpful for like its English teachers and stuff like that. When I first got here, they set me up in an apartment. Like, it's technically a private company, so they actually own like the original apartment also. So it was really easy for them to just put me in there until I find an apartment. And then somebody from that corporation also helped me find my actual first apartment, because I did not want to live in a dorm setting. Like, that was just
Why not?
temporary. I don't like going down 2 flights of stairs to go take a shower every day, and then
You don't? Imagine.
finding out
Huh.
that maybe all the showers are taken. I have to wait outside and just sit in my fucking towel, just waiting. So I wanted to get an apartment by myself as soon as possible. They set me up within a month, and next thing I know, I was in my own apartment. It was a box of like 7 to 8 feet by 7 to 8 feet. I had the bed that's behind me, and the desk that this computer is on, and that's all that fit in there, and that was it. But I saved so much money.
Whoa.
Oh, so
I
you had a
lived in
closet.
there. I had a little bit of a closet, just like a little tiny.
Oh, no, I
closet.
meant you lived in a closet.
Yes, I lived in a closet.
Yes, okay.
Like, it was the smallest apartment I could possibly find, but I saved so much money.
Mm-hmm.
a year later, a little more than a year later, around October, I ended up starting to look for new apartments, and there's a site that I found that was specifically for foreigners, and like I got really lucky. It was not involved with my company anymore, so this is all me by trying to find it by myself. A foreigner-friendly website to find apartments, and I found my real estate agent spoke English and Japanese. She helped me get this apartment I'm in right now. I'm about a 10-minute walk away from work. I still live an hour south of Tokyo. I can take a train in within an hour, and I can see Fuji from my window.
And that's super cool.
Wow.
That's super cool. But some of the things that you told me, and these are things that are just like mind-boggling to me, is that as a foreigner, in terms of like if you are getting a place to live, you need a co-guarantor. You need like your company to allow you to live someplace to sign on with you, right?
Yeah. So the first, the closet apartment, my guarantor was my company because they helped me find it. They helped me set it up.
Mm-hmm.
They got me lots of discounts, actually. They're really shrewd negotiators. For this one, I had to pay. So, like, typically foreigners will have to pay a guarantor to guarantee them.
Yes.
And that can be like the same cost as like a month's worth of rent. So,
and that
like,
piles up. Can you explain the concept of key money?
this key money when you
I'm
first
picturing
move to an
Kingdom
apartment.
Hearts. Is that a thing? Like the money?
Oh, Sora! You got $5?
Just have to buy them a giant key and bestow it upon them. No, the key money is like a gift to the landlord to say, like, hey, thank you for letting me live here. Here's 2 months
So
worth of rent.
not
2 or 3 months worth of rent typically is what key money is.
As a
What?
thank you for letting me live here after you made my company give me the thumbs ups that I don't have to be homeless. Here's a gift of 2 to 3 months rent connected to nothing.
and, which you will never get back. It's not a deposit.
Nope. You typically don't
Nope.
get deposits back either.
Why?
And then he explained to me, plus,
So-
so it's the key money, what you pay to the guarantor, the key money that you're not going to get back, a deposit that you're probably not going to get back because they're really harsh, a month of rent, cleaning fee.
2 months of rent.
2 months of rent. Because you need to pay it in advance. So you said paying it in advance, that's anywhere from 2 to 6 months of rent immediately in advance.
Cleaning fee, maintenance
Cleaning
fee.
fee, maintenance fee, and a fee to turn on your hot water and electricity.
Some places.
For some places, and that's before you even get to your normal utilities. So, like, it is difficult. It is some difficult stuff.
Why? Why is it so difficult?
It's a great question. I don't really know. But, like,
Just cause?
if you're a good negotiator, you can, like, actually get a lot of that off. Like, the first time, the closet one, they negotiated so hard. I paid 1 month's worth of key money. They turned everything on for me. I put a deposit down. Like, I didn't have to pay any other fees, though. And they even dropped my rent a little bit. Like, that's how
Wow.
good of a negotiator they were. And then
That's
this
good.
place, it was actually on sale when I got it. So I didn't have to pay the first 2 months of rent. Actually, I don't have to pay the first 3 months of rent for the place I'm in right now. It's
gotta
just on
figure it
sale.
out.
Yeah.
It was just a deal. And, like, so I've been pretty lucky, but I still dropped, like, 2,000 US on this apartment and, like, about 2,000 US on the other apartment, too.
Oh, and what's the currency exchange? Do you know the rate for that?
Pretty much just put 2 zeros at the end of the US dollar, and it's close to yen. And then take the last 2 digits off, or put like a decimal after the last 2 digits, and it's pretty close.
So the US dollar is worth
Like
more
100
than
yen.
yen?
It's like a yen is a cent. You could almost think of it. So like 10,000 yen would be close to $100. And so when you see in anime these grossly inflated like numbers that we would think is inflated of like 50 billion yen, that's a lot of money, but it's only like 500 million.
Okay.
I would say, like, as you
Dollars.
get into bigger numbers, the US dollar I think is stronger. So like if you go up to like 500 or Goemon, 50,000 yen, maybe it's actually like 400 something US, not like 500 US. Like,
Good to
typically the
know.
US is a little
Good to know that the US dollar just Oklahoma smashes the Japanese yen. I love that. I love knowing that.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So with all that money, something that we need to know is what is there to buy? indulgences in Japan. Tell us about like the snacks and food, because people talk about Tokyo as like the greatest food city in the world. Like, give us the 411 on snack life. What do we got to try when we head over?
I'm not a super big foodie person, but I do enjoy all the food here. Like, so my typical breakfast is I go down to this place called the My Basket. My Basketto. I get like, now I'm pretty American. Sorry to offend. As of now, I get like an Uncrustable, but inside the Uncrustable is like strawberry jam or peanut butter, and the peanut butter here is fake. It's like a really sweet stuff, but I actually like it.
It's
and then
fake?
I get some straw. Yeah, it's like really sweet. Like it definitely doesn't taste the same. Like I have friends who complain about it a lot, but I don't really
It's
care.
more like a sweet peanut confection. Like,
Yeah.
in terms of,
Yeah. Okay.
And then I also get like strawberry flavored yogurt. So like I'm a very Western breakfast kind of guy. But before I had the My Basket here, I actually went to the Konbini and I got an onigiri every morning. It was an onigiri with mayonnaise and some other sauce in it, and then a sausage patty on top of it, wrapped in one layer, one wrap of seaweed. And that was my typical breakfast. And then lunch at work, I actually eat the kids' lunch. I just like
You like take it from them and you're like,
I was
move
like,
out of
who's
the way,
giving me
kid. It's lunchtime.
who's giving me their lunch today? Who didn't use enough English today? No,
Oh my god. Nick's a bully. Nick's a bully.
I do.
God.
Sometimes I do bully my kids. I think it's fun. They like
I
it.
love it. I'm for it.
No, for like liability reasons, the lunch company that gives us the Kyushoku, the lunch of the day, also gives us a teacher's lunch. So then if a teacher eats it and they feel sick, we maybe know that the kids are going to have some food poisoning.
Oh, so
it
you're a
gives me a
taste
free lunch.
tester.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I'm like a royal taste tester.
Oh my god, Nick's gonna drop dead one day and we're gonna know that it's because he had a strawberry jam and peanut margarine sandwich.
Oh no, so the kids' lunch is actually very Japanese.
Okay.
So like typically there's a side of rice, there's a meat option that could be anywhere from like hamburg, lots of fish usually, or like meatballs and stuff like that. And then there's a side of two vegetables. One sometimes is like potatoes, one like spinach, seaweed, stuff like that. So like I eat a very well portioned lunch because it's made for kids typically, but it's a little bit larger for the teachers. And that's free. Like free.
Hey, they say there's no such thing as a free lunch. That's just because they ain't been to Japan, baby. They ain't taught
they've
kids
never
in Japan.
stolen it from a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, when the kids are absent, I take their lunchbox also and eat that one.
Fuck them kids. Absolutely. So first of all, I love that seaweed is a part of your everyday lunch. Because in the US, I know maybe, 10 people that have tried seaweed and actually enjoyed it. And I've met many more people who, upon hearing that I've tried seaweed, want to hurt me. And so it's good to know that that's a more appropriate thing in Japan. But, being a teacher, you have to work with the kids very closely, I'm sure. But I'm sure you also have to work with the teachers. And you don't have to name drop any teachers. I won't put you in any hot water with the teachers. But what is it like, working at a school in Japan as an American man? What is that like for you? What is the work culture like?
For me, it's very fortunate because the kids see me and they see, oh, man. Cool. Not Japanese. Cool.
Okay.
Young. Cool.
Ooh.
Like an instant hit for the kids. I look up at a
You're
kid.
like, oh my,
like,
amazing.
Yeah, I look at a kid. I'm like, yo, and they're like, ah. Except for the really young kids who just start screaming and crying because I'm scary.
Oh, so not cool. Not cool. Not cool. Depending on the age range.
Yeah, like usually it's the youngest kids, the lowest age kids that are 2 and 3. Sometimes will cry as soon as they see me.
And that's not because you take their lunch.
No, it's usually
Okay.
no, but then any kids who are older than that will instantly just be like, oh, it's Teacher Nick. Yeah.
Cool.
The teacher side, though, actually can be a little disappointing pre-COVID. I really wanted to have lots of, like, gatherings with the teachers and stuff like that. I always planned things, and it always rained. Like literally. Like I planned lots of
It's
hikes.
not
I
meant
planned
to
a
be.
barbecue. I planned like 3 different events. Rain, rain, rain.
Nah.
And then like at the end, before COVID again, one random Japanese teacher, she planned a dinner, but it was only a ladies' night dinner.
So
So,
you said,
did not
hey,
get
I
the
think I want
invite.
to. Okay, gotcha. You said, hey, I think I want to have fun. I think I want to meet my coworkers. I think I want to have some camaraderie with my people. And Japan said no, and that was
Yeah.
it.
Just kind of bad luck, but
Okay.
to be fair, like 85% of the staff are women. Like
Really?
the majority of the male staff are actually the English teachers
Oh.
because it is a nursery. So like the only people
Oh
who would,
yeah, men working
know.
in nurseries. I mean, in America, that's a little sus for
Yeah.
some people. People are like, "Hey, you want to work with children?" And how
Enriching
old
the youth
are
of tomorrow
you?
sounds pretty fucking gay. Worrying about the future. What the?
You
So
want to
when
nurture our youth?
Yeah, I've worked there for 2 years. In the first year, I had the second youngest group of kids because they're like in grades. So there's 4 grades. The youngest, and then it goes up, blah, 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 blah. I was with the second youngest age group, and I didn't really care. Like, it didn't matter too much at first. So like, kids were still using like learning how to use the toilet. So I'd have to wipe a couple of butts, and stuff like
As you
that.
do.
No big deal. Just of a teacher.
You can't
it's what
just
I had
take a
to do.
garden hose and get them used to the bidet. You can't just be
Yeah.
like, "This is practice for when you have a bidet." Just
Get you don't have like a super soaker behind your desk for that kind of thing.
No, unfortunately not. No, I definitely had to teach a couple of kids how to like just wipe their butts.
Hey, it's gotta
And then
happen.
It does. And then I
I'll
moved
learn
up.
someday.
I moved up a grade with the same kids. So I'm actually with the same kids I was last year.
Okay,
So
That's
now they
really
all know how to
awesome.
wipe their butts. But like,
progress.
it definitely makes me realize like, oh, they're a little bit older now and they can recognize some things. I need to be a little bit more careful about what I do
Yeah,
and what the
yeah.
kids do without them realizing it. So like, we have outdoor play and we're running around, we're having so much fun, and then teacher Nick falls down and they're like, oh, let's dogpile on top of teacher Nick. And I'm like laying on my back, and next thing I know, one of the girls like hops on me in a way, and I'm like, no.
Absolutely not.
Nope. I can't even say why not. I just have to be like, oh, you're so funny, get off me.
Yeah, that's a thing. And I've worked with children a few times as well in like musical theater camps and, various age groups. And there comes a time in kids' lives where they start to learn that some things are appropriate and some things are not, really depending on their upbringing. And there are some kids that are like, they just really don't understand and they just want to like hug you and touch you and like be all up in your business. And then there are some kids that understand very well and they just want to push the boundaries a little bit. And
Yeah.
I've definitely had to experience that with kids, like, hugging me, but like they're like they're like eye level with my waist. And I'm like, yeah, kids, no touching Mr. Barnes, not a thing. And so like, I'm sure that's something you've had to experience as well.
I'm pretty typical. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, please.
I'm pretty typical used to like kids coming to hug me now, and they are that perfect height for the most part. I just turn and they hug my hip. Their
Yes,
head's
a
on my
good
hip now.
side hug is
Yeah.
the perfect option for that kind.
I taught like mostly middle-aged kids, middle school age kids.
So,
not
Pax
Benjamin
has a
Button
habit of
types.
teaching cougars.
All right, girls, we're gonna learn today. No, I middle school age kids.
Yes.
And so for me, what was hardest was seeing them entering middle school, which is the worst time to be alive for like most homies ever, and to get to see them like becoming aware of different things they can be insecure about or new things to like and that was something where like I taught at like a drama school, and to teach them to be creative was really fantastic because it was so working against the grain of around that age when you start being told don't be creative, do not like be outgoing, do not like be worried about looking dumb or looking like you're trying or like it's that insecurity. And so I think that like all of us having taught kids, we recognize that like even if there are some dark times and you get to like learn a lot about these kids, about life, just what's going on, like there is this spark of just this is what the future is, and I'm so glad to be there, and I just feel so instilled with joy. And Nick, you said sometimes you got to stay like 2-3 hours overtime, right?
Yeah, it's pretty typical, but like I'm a slow worker and I really like to work. Like we talked in the past interview that I'm like kind of the perfect person to go to Japan. Like, Japan's not for
Yeah.
everybody, but my personality suits it really well.
Mhm.
I'm very passive. I don't really care, and I really like to work. Those are the two things you need in Japan. I love to work, so yeah, I'm fine with staying late to get some like shit done. Like, I stayed till freaking 9 o'clock last night because I knew I had off today, so I stayed till like 9 at night to work last night.
There you go.
And I like working, but I'm literally the polar opposite from you, Nick, because as I was going through this and I was trying to be like, what's going to get the headlines? What can I clip? And be like, the top 5 worst things about living in Japan. What's the culture shock? Like, inevitably, as I was asking Nick, like, what about this? What about this? Nick was just like, doesn't really bother me. I like it. I don't cause problems and people don't cause any problems to me. And like, I'm literally everything you just described about your personality, the exact opposite. The fact that like even when I asked about food, you're like, I enjoy this simple Uncrustable I get from a stall. I am such a debauched like hedonist that just every weekend just my tall loud ass would be getting stares constantly. I'd be feeling terrible because I'd be getting the stares. Like I would need some control. So on that front, for when I come to visit you, give me what not to do in Japan, what to avoid so that I don't embarrass us.
Don't walk and eat, and don't jaywalk. It's a big stigma. Like,
Don't
it's
walk
about
and
the
eat.
Yeah, that's the cleanliness thing. If you're eating and walking,
Drop food.
you're gonna drop food and you're gonna make trash on the ground. You'll definitely get lots of stares for doing that. The only time it's okay is at a matsuri, which is like a Japanese festival, like as if it was Oban or Tanabata or other ones. Like, if there's food stalls out on the street and you're getting like yakiniku or like takoyaki,
Don't
you
know
can
what
eat
either
in
of
the
those things
street.
are. That sounds great though.
Takoyaki's the octopus balls. You've probably seen them in anime. And
Ooh,
yakiniku
yes,
is
yes,
just
yes.
meat skewered on a stick.
Amazing.
That is okay to eat in the street. And if you're walking and eating, maybe that's okay. The big funny thing that I always thought is like when you finish it, you're stuck with like a wooden stick or like some kind of trash, right?
Mhm.
There's no trash cans anywhere in Japan, like really. So you're like, what the fuck do I do with it? You go up to any stall and be like, I have trash. And they'll take it for you. Even if it's not the same stall you bought it from. They're like, yeah, I'll take it.
So yesterday. So first of all, I'd like to say I would not belong in Japan for that one reason of you are not allowed to walk and eat, because I actually have trouble sitting down and eating. I'm like doing a bunch of things. I'm like eating as I'm going and doing other things because my mind is like going on this and this to me. Like I have like constantly 10 different tabs up in my mind at all times, and I'm not completing any of them without eating. And yesterday I'm in New York. I have 3 hot dogs and I have a chili dog and I eat all of them on the go. And like, first of all, I'm a pig. Second, I'm walk and I eat. So I'm just like a little American piggy boy walking through eating hot dogs in Japan. It would not be a good look for me.
Like, that was one of the first things I learned living here. But within like the first week of meeting some of my co-teachers before school started, one of them who has really nice English, like he used to live in Oregon for a couple of years, so his English is perfect. He's got the best English, and he's Japanese though. He helped me turn my electricity on, and as we're like getting on the train to go to my apartment at the time, he like rips out a corn dog and is eating it on the train, which is like a huge like do not do. And I'm just looking at him, I'm like, I guess I'll go fuck myself. I don't know what the hell's going on anymore. He just
There's
doesn't
no
care,
rules.
though.
It's the Wild West in Japan. There are no rules.
That is corn dog on the train.
But yeah, if you don't want to look like the dumb gaijin or the foreigner, that's something to avoid. Another one is try and be careful of the women's cars. I've only ever gotten on one on accident once.
The women's cars?
He doesn't mean that he entered a woman's car on accident, like he like Grand Theft Auto style, like busted in someone. He means the car on a train.
Like the train
There's
cars.
a woman's only car on trains?
Yeah. So,
well, they'll just say like, yeah, like that's a totally normal thing. I've never even heard of that. What do you mean?
I thought that was like one of the things, like, if you heard of Japan and you look up a little bit, like, that's one of the funny things people like, one of the fun facts, like, oh, did you know Japan has this? Anyway,
no, I didn't.
So, because most of people commute to work through train instead of driving, the trains are like sardines, like packed like sardines going into the city during rush hour. The first and or last car of trains is typically a woman's only car. So you're only allowed in there if you're a woman, or you have a child with you, or you are with a woman. So like if you are the boyfriend of a girl and you go in together, you should be okay. It's not like strictly enforced as far as I know. It's again just those like evil eyes. Like they'll just be like,
Yeah. So you're saying I could write a harem anime about being on the first and last train of a car, being the only guy on that in that car. I could definitely write something like that.
yeah, probably.
I've read ones like that. If you want a link, let me know.
Some reference material.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So why are the first and last ones for women only? Why is that?
Because there's lots of crimes of like
Like sexual harassment.
groping, sexual harassment. That's like the minor shit, like actual groping, sexual harassment, even rape. I think.
Oh my god,
so-
on the trains?
Yeah, on the train. So they designated those cars for women only for specific time blocks, like when commute time is happening. So like if you go really late at night and take one of those trains, you're probably fine. It's literally only usually like from train start until 9 in the morning. And then it's in anyone's car.
And that might sound counterintuitive, like why have the exclusive trains during the busiest time? But it's actually because a lot of these like train molestations happen specifically because they're packed like sardines, and people can take advantage of like, oh, no one can really see my hands or what they're doing. And like, there's a lot. It's like an epidemic.
Yeah, it's very bad.
There's not a lot of crime in Japan, but
No.
there's that one.
Like
Nice.
I've been in those sardine pack trains before, and like I wasn't sexually harassed in any way, but I've definitely had people's hands on me because like there's just nowhere else to put your hands. Like it's not like everybody's gonna stand in the train like this, like with their hands up in the air, like
Like,
banzai.
No, officer, no, I did not grope her. My hand had to go in her vagina. It is the only thing that I could do. We were packed like sardines. It was the best I could do.
I had two women on each arm like they were puppets. Like it was just, I'm sorry.
I was trying to conserve space. My fingers had to go somewhere.
Oh God!
Jesus Christ! This is bad.
Oh,
this is
man,
very bad. Okay,
Back up.
Anyway, so speaking of being debauched perverts, Brotaku's Anime Club firmly against sex crimes. We're going to take that brave stance.
Jesus
Unlike you
Christ.
motherfuckers at IGN Anime Club, we know.
Yeah.
I'll change it right now. The most forcefully I've been touched while in a sardine train is by the train staff pushing me into the train as the doors closed.
Like, as in pushing you as in like, get in the train, or pushing you as in like, look out for
like,
the door.
I wanted to be on the train, but I could not fit in anymore. So they pushed us
stuffed you
into
in.
the train. That is a
Oh,
job.
like I would with like a suitcase when I'm traveling to the Bahamas.
That's an actual job at the train stations. People who stand there to push the people in.
They have like brooms or like mops and stuff. They're like, get in there.
Just their own hands.
Ooh, intimate. Okay, cool, great.
So we were being kind of debauched losers a second ago. But speaking of debauched loserdom, anime. It's why we're here. It brings us all together. We kind of wanted to ask what anime fandom is like there in Japan. And there are kind of these legendary locations people hear about in the West, like Akihabara being like great kind of pinnacles of like weebdom. I know you visited one of the Nakama stores as well, right?
Yeah, so I visited lots of places. Like Akihabara is the obvious one. But even in Shibuya, there's like a whole floor where the Nintendo store is and the Pokemon Center is. And like all the other things around it.
Pokemon Center?
Yeah, it's in Shibuya. There's a couple. There's actually one in Tokyo, one in Shibuya, but the floor is Shibuya.
I have a lot of questions. And I feel like people listening and watching do as well. You said, so Pax, first of all, you said a blank store. What was that?
Oh, Nakama store. Nakama's friends. It's homies, and the Nakama is the biggest term associated with One Piece. It's actually so big that a lot of times, I don't know. I think even in official subs where you might otherwise translate Nakama as friends, a lot of times they just keep it as my Nakama, which it's because One Piece has kind of like lent so much cultural cash to this concept that it's been elevated to almost like a friends above friends. It's like what he calls his like crew members and things. And so the Nakama store in Japan is like the One Piece. It's like how you might go to like the M&M shop in Times Square.
Oh, it's about
like
One
the
Piece.
Nintendo shop.
Yeah.
It's a One Piece shop. So yeah, what's it like, dude?
Oh.
So again in Shibuya, there is the One Piece store. I don't remember where it was. And that was really cool. But then in Tokyo Tower, the one that looks like the Eiffel Tower, but it's red and white, and it's in Japan. I think it's like considerably smaller. There is a One Piece theme park inside the tower, and like I didn't go inside of it because it was too expensive. I didn't really have anyone to go with, but I did go to Tokyo Tower. And outside of it, there's a little cafe that's like all Sanji stuff. Like there's a little statue of Sanji.
Oh my
You
god.
can get all the things that he apparently cooks in One Piece and stuff like that.
Oh my
I thought
god!
that was
So
really cool.
so you didn't go into the interactive exhibit where Luffy machine gun punches you to death. You didn't have that
Unfortunately
one because I would
not.
love to go experience that.
That's my Valhalla is winding up in that One Piece theme park. Oh my gosh. but so otherwise, we hear about stores that sell like endless amounts of hentai and booby mouse pads and figurines to death. Like paint us a picture of if you're going to one of these like weeb mecca locations. What is it like?
Right. So when I first got here, I did go to Akihabara pretty quickly.
Which is
So Akihabara is a district north of Tokyo Center that is like just a very tiny square of it, but it's just like I guess the capital of like anime and all this like nerdy stuff. Like
a nexus of evil, a portal just opening up into
How
the
dare you?
Yeah, it started out as like a technological center, though not technological, but like computer parts.
Mhm.
There was a computer parts market. Just imagine a market of nothing but computer parts, any kind of like technical stuff you could buy.
Right. So you
And
have
then
computer
it shifted.
parts.
Yeah, it shifted into anime. It still has the computer parts sections. Like you
Sure.
can definitely find almost anything you want to buy related to computers here.
Sure, but I'm betting. I wouldn't have to look up anything about this place. You have computer parts, right? The next logical step is you make a computer, right? And then the next logical step, you have a computer. What do you have? Internet. And when do you look up what you have the internet? Hentai. Boom. Anime. Internet. Computers. It all makes sense.
Yeah. Like you can also
Just
buy
like
any
how
video
stone
game
led
you
to
want here.
weaponry. It's like this. The
It was
tech
simply
tree
the
in
natural
civilization.
progression.
Like,
it was the
easy.
next evolution.
It was
Dude,
either
in Dr.
hentai
Stone,
or
when do you think
porn. You know,
Yes, yeah,
it had to be
yeah.
one or the other.
Yes.
And they went with hentai this time.
Natural.
Like, I forget what's going now. You can buy any video game there. Like, remember Tomodachis?
Yeah.
Tomodachis?
Yeah.
You can buy Tomodachis, the original Tomodachis here. You can go in, you can buy an N64. You can buy an NES, anything. You go in any find of these stores, you can buy like any possible game you can find. Most of them will be in Japanese, but
So yesterday I was looking at Facebook, and because Facebook and Google have my fucking number, they sent me an ad for a little statue of Pichu that is a phone charger. It is a life-size Pichu that you literally you put your phone into his cheek and he just knuckles your phone and it charges your phone. And it was like, would you buy this if it had it? And I was like, yes, I would. And they're like, well, too bad it doesn't exist. So I guess sign this petition and it might happen.
no,
Dude, that pisses me off that that's the type of ads you get, because on Facebook I literally got an ad for Ahegao keycaps the other day of just
that's because I logged into your account and I searched up a lot of that. I just went boom. I filled your history with that.
I did not need help.
I did not.
But through our powers combined, we can fusion. Oh god. Okay.
Okay, so this place sounds amazing / awful, depending on who you are. And you had a good experience? Yes? No? You would recommend?
I liked it. One of the big things is there's maid cafes all over the place. Like there's these
Yeah.
girls out of maid costumes advertised in these cafes where like all the
That's
waitresses
dangerous.
are dressed like maids, and apparently it's like a really happy place to go to. I've never been to one, but like it's kind of like they just really try to like greet you really nicely. Like I don't know, it felt really weird to me. Like maybe I would go with a friend.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to go by yourself, kind of.
Even with a friend, I feel like maybe it was like a group of people. I'd like, all right, because it's supposed to be like not that big of a deal in some cases. Like it's supposed to be just like a fun thing, and it's a cutesy thing.
So like a PG-rated Hooters.
I was gonna say Hooters for simps, like
Sure.
simp
Yeah.
Hooters.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because it is sweet. They refer to you as like master, and they
Yeah,
are wearing the maid outfit. So like if you're
Sama.
so like if you're there to like have some like teas and like little cucumber sandwiches and have like a sweet time, that could be nice. But I feel like it could also be a magnet for strange behavior.
Yeah, I don't really care for that. It's just overpriced
Like that
for no
kind of-
reason.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay, so
Some of them are like kind of like a show too, and not like a strip show.
Mhm.
Like a show is like the maids will actually do songs and dances.
that's fun.
Yeah, so it's pretty
Like the Stardust Cafe. I love that.
Yeah.
yeah.
And there are male versions like the host clubs, right?
Not that I've seen, but I wouldn't be surprised.
So I wouldn't be
there
able to
are
find
male
any like
versions of it.
husbandos in these
You can
places.
find it.
how to stroke
Akihabara is the
flower.
place you'd find something like that.
Okay.
For sure.
As far as your question before about the manga store and the hentai stores and stuff like that, they're actually one and the same. I actually went into this multi-level building because I wanted to explicitly find a Japanese One Piece manga to send to you, Pax.
And I got it. It was amazing. It was the first edition. It was like the first version. Oh, I loved it. Thank you, dude.
But I had gotten lost and I ended up in the hentai. There's a literal couple floors just for hentai. I forget what it's called. Dojinshi or something like that. Like that's like
yeah. The fact that he lives in Japan and he doesn't know that off the top, but I do because I live it every day, just shows you how you could be a normal human who lives in Japan and enriches children and lives a great life, and you could just be a weird freak who's just constantly into internet darkness, like. So yes.
So you fell into the hentai section, like you went through the wardrobe in Narnia. You were just kind of like looked up and you were like, oh no!
it's
Mr.
reverse.
Thomas, why's your dick out?
It's not just one section for the hentai. There's one section for the manga. Every other floor is hentai, and it's separated into different types of hentai.
It's like Pornhub. Oh no!
There's like
it's a world.
like male hentai. What is it? Is it Yuri or Yui? Or
Yaoi.
Yaoi.
Oh.
There's Yaoi floor. There's Yuri's the other one, right?
Yep.
There's the Yuri floor. There's just the hentai floor. There's the sex toys floor, and then there's the manga floor for the boring people.
And the fact that all legit manga gets one floor, but each kink has its own level is insane to me.
It's not. It is, but like, what I find interesting is that there is an acknowledgement of it, you know, because like, you know, I don't know. I don't know anything about, you know, sex culture in Japan. I don't. But what I can tell you is just that, the fact that there are multiple floors dedicated to different genre of hentai versus like, you know, like, hey, you know, if I die, clear my search history in like Western films and like things like that. I just find that interesting that there is such a lax or more lax compared to like America view on, you know, sex and exploration of that kind of thing. Am I wrong?
Actually, I do know a little bit about this. So sex is not necessarily taboo, but it's definitely not. It's harder to have sex here. So for Japanese people.
Okay.
Most Japanese people stay and live with their parents until they are married. When you get married, you go and get a new apartment with your spouse. How the hell are you supposed to fuck when your parents live with you?
You know, the
love
ultimate
hotels.
cock block. True.
There are hotels explicitly for sex all across Japan called love hotels. You can rent a room for 2 hours for I don't know the price. I think like $40 US or something like that. About depends on like the room, I think, just to have sex in. And then that's it. And then like, well, sex is definitely more seen, and all this kind of like hentai stuff and animated sex and all that stuff is like more visible and more pronounced in Japan. Sex itself is still like kind of weirdishly talked about, like just like in the States. Like it's not super weird, but like maybe some people are a little less keen to talk about it than others. You know what I mean? Like it's like everybody's their own person.
We did sort of talk about that in a previous episode about how like in American films and shows we have no problem watching a man be disemboweled and hung by his own entrails, but like the moment like if it's a woman and her boob accidentally slips out while she's hanging from her entrails, like boom, it's instantly R NC 17, like it's just insane.
Well, there is pseudo legal prostitution in Japan, which is a interesting thing to say. Have you heard of soaplands, Nick?
I have heard of soaplands.
Yeah, so Japan has criminalized, and all sex work should be decriminalized. We should not be throwing people in jail for selling a service like any other. But in Japan, they made it criminal, and it's like one of these weird loopholes, like with the dojin thing, where they criminalized compensated sexual intercourse between unacquainted persons in the late 1950s. And so the loophole that gets exploited with the soaplands is that they exploit this loophole where compensated sexual intercourse can be conducted between specified acquainted people. And so the idea being you pay to go to a soapland where customers pay an entry fee to use the bathing facilities and a separate fee for a massage. So while the massage takes place, the masseuse and the customer become acquainted, resulting in any paid sexual services afterwards not being viewed as prostitution by the law, because they just were acquainted during that massage 5 minutes ago, so we're not strangers anymore, and we can pay for this second thing. So weird stuff.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
yeah, go ahead, Pax.
So while soaplands may be the favorite part of Japan of some people are just going there for the sushi and soaplands and then, jumping out. Nick has some other more wholesome favorite parts about Japan. So I want you to kind of share some of the things that you shared with me about like what you love most about this country.
Yeah. So one of the top things obviously is the cleanliness that I mentioned before. Like the fact that I can go out of my house and not see trash all over the place is like I did not have culture shock really coming here in Japan, but I think when I do get a chance to come back to the States, I will definitely have culture shock. Like because of like just how clean it is. Like just it's a little bit surprising just how much you can keep your area clean if everybody just puts in the effort.
Right.
You said the transit going different places as well?
Yeah, so one of the things I miss most about America was actually driving, because I just enjoy driving. But that does not affect me here. I can't drive because United States licenses, blah, 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 blah. But the trains I can take to go anywhere. I took a train to go to Kyoto, Shinkansen, the bullet trains. I took that to go to Kyoto. It took me like 2 hours.
That's so cool. I've always wanted to ride one of the bullet trains.
It was really nice. Rode right past Fuji, the Izu Peninsula. It was really cool to look out the window. But like even the local trains here, like I said, it takes me an hour to get into Tokyo. If I take an express train, it's like a half hour. And then, do I want to go all the way to Chiba Peninsula? I haven't been there yet, but I could take a train there within the day, make a day trip, not hard. Go to Yokohama, Yokosuka, where the military base is for America. Yeah, I could go there in a day.
Wow. So it's very centralized with the trains. I mean, you could really just go anywhere you want.
I'm fairly sure it's the largest metro system in the world, I think, is what they said.
I think that's right. And you said that within an hour from your apartment, you could go to the mountains for a hike, the forest, or like the countryside, right?
I can go to the mountains, I can go to Kamakura for the beach, or I can go to the city, all within an hour. Easy.
That's incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Huh.
This summer, I'm really intended on going to climb Mount Fuji. This past summer, Fuji was closed because of COVID. If they open it again this summer, I'm really hoping to go. I can get to Fuji within 2 hours.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah,
the top of Fuji, that's another story,
though. Sure, but that's the whole point, right? That's the whole idea. Well, that's so cool, and I want to know, like, so when you are, living in Japan, when you're sort of figuring your way through here, and you meet a bunch of different people, you sort of have you found your own behaviors sort of beginning to change, your expectations for what society should be changing? As you've carried along?
No, so like I'm not saying America needs to change. I'm not saying the people of America need to change. Should they change? Yeah, especially for like global warming and whatnot, but that's a whole different conversation. I think
you totally say we need to change, dude.
Yeah.
But like, do we need to change as extremely as Japan? Maybe. I'm not a scientist, but like Japan has its own negative connotations, but like I'm just not very aware of them because they don't really affect me. Like a lot of people think that it's too forced, and like you ever see those people who are like dressed like fully goth, or like maybe they wear like really they definitely stand out, like they're very standoutish. That has been created because of the seriousness of conformity in Japan. People didn't want to be conformed, so they went to be this goth creation, and that's totally them, and that's totally fine. That's them. I think each culture is their own, and I think they have their own rights of doing the things that they want. But like,
are you running for president? What is with this answer, Nick? This is so diplomatic.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
Nick,
I like how Japan is.
Cool.
And
yeah,
I'm happy to live here.
Yeah,
so,
to me, it sounds like you've really enjoyed your time. It sounds like there are a lot of really, really positive things about your experience in Japan. And it sounds like maybe some of those things are really positive because they aren't here in America, because we don't do these things. We don't behave this way. We don't have these expectations for how people should behave. But it sounds to me as though at least from what you have told us and what you have experienced so far, that it has worked relatively well in Japan.
Yeah, for me and my lifestyle, I think it works really well. And
Sure.
I think that's something kind of like how I've always thought. Like, everybody has their own lifestyle and living ways, but like, maybe it doesn't match where you're from. Like, if you
Sure.
live in New York City, maybe you're really
Yeah.
loud and boisterous and talkative and like extroverted. Maybe that doesn't match you. Like, so maybe I'm not saying people should move to go where they're better, but like, if you're open to moving, I think you could definitely try and find towns or even countries that fit you better. And I'm lucky that Japan fits me better.
Yeah, I've never even considered that. I've always been like, well, I guess I better just figure out how to live in this town with people I don't know, instead of just being like, yo, maybe I should just move to an area with people who have the same interests and personalities as myself. Well, you can't do that. You got expectations. You got to live in
it's
this
not-
place where you are. You know, it's just like...
And plus, like, it's just not easy for everybody. Like, not everybody has the economic resources to do something like that. Like,
sure, of course.
If it didn't work out in Japan, I would have been really boned. I used all my money to get here.
But it did,
Really
and here
fucking
you
boned.
are.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of you for making that leap, man. I mean, like, I feel inspired hearing that from you, because I'm like, yeah, let me make some substantial changes in my own life to like live a more authentic and, you know, enjoyable life.
Yeah, like, I'm still trying to make changes in my life to make myself better and every day, but like, Japan was definitely one of the things that really helped me in my like future career prospects and stuff like that, and what I want to do as a professional and as a working force either here in Japan or back in the States. Like, I'm glad I went to teaching specifically, mostly.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I feel like that's kind of a great message to leave it on. Was there anything else you wanted to cover, Hal?
I was really curious about, you know, what are the youth watching nowadays? I would love, since we are an anime podcast, and since a lot of our
that's a good
viewership,
question.
you know, we have a pretty wide range of viewers, of fellow Brotakus out there, and it occurs to me that, like, hey, you know, I see a lot of kids when I was like in school wearing like My Hero Academia t-shirts, or like Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon, or you know, all these different shows, and I was curious, as like in Japan, are there any anime in Japan that are sort of like mainstream Cartoon Network here in America? If there's anything that like kids are repping nowadays, you know?
Yeah, so like I said, I work with anywhere kids from 2 to 6 years old. My kids are going on to 6 almost.
Uh-huh.
So like maybe some more mature ones is
Like
reasonable.
Berserk.
Yeah, maybe like more mature isn't like maybe like maybe
trolling,
like
Nick.
I don't know, like
No, that was totally a
but
joke.
like wait for me to get to it. So like
Yeah,
maybe
wait
like
for it, dude.
One Piece or Naruto, maybe like those kids could be something into something like that. Like, it's a little bit like some people die, there's some blood, there's some combat. 6-year-olds could probably be into that. Like entering it. No, straight up, there's a 2-year-old who comes up to me and says, Kimitsu no Yaiba, which if you don't know is Demon Slayer.
Oh.
It's like, I like Tanjiro ga daisuki desu. And it's like a 2-year-old like would tell the teacher in Japanese the entire plot of Kimitsu no Yaiba, which, like, if you don't know the anime, is like about a boy who gets his entire family massacred on like the first episode by the freaking demon, and then he sets out to like kill all demons after that, and it's very gory.
His
Lots
sister
of
gets
death.
corrupted. He has to gag her, and she lives in a basket on his back. Like, it's like...
See, I definitely
super-
thought you were about to say a 2-year-old walked up to you and said, "Ome wa shinderu." I definitely thought.
I can see it. I can freaking see it.
And that was the day Nick died.
I was just like, oh shit. Yeah, all the kids love it. We have show and tell, and we just started a new show and tell for collections, and one of my girls, who's 5 years old, brings in this huge bag of Kimitsu no Yaiba character plushies.
Wow.
There's Tanjiro, there's Zenitsu, there's Nezuko, Inosuke. She loves Shinobu. Like, all of that. They all love it. That's all they talk about. And then, like, they're 5 and they're 2 years old.
I can't wait for 5-year-olds and like 2-year-olds to be repping Kaijo next year. I can't wait for them to be repping.
No.
No, bad.
But whoever this wealthy family is who has like a cool 2-year-old who watches Demon Slayer and they get to live like pretty affluently and happily in Japan, that's a pretty good life there.
It's not just that family though. It's like all of the kids.
Every kid watches Demon Slayer. Every kid is out to hunt down demons. Like, man, that's what I would like. Instead of kids making fun of me because I played with Pokemon cards, I just wish that people had just joined me in my demon hunting crusade and spoke to the teachers in such a cool way. I just like.
Well, I think it's good that the children are learning at a young age to kill demons and satanic liberals, I assume.
No, this girl's pretty awesome.
She also what?
She also brought a Pokemon card collection for another show and tell, so like...
That's cool.
Oh, and
like
she
all
wasn't
the other
bullied
stuff
for it?
No, like all the other... Like all the normal stuff is still there. Like, it's just, I would have typically expected like the 2 and 3-year-olds to be into like Doraemon and Ampaman, which is like more closely like to the SpongeBobs of America. But nope, Kimetsu no Yaiba. All the kids love Pokemon still.
When you shared with me something that Hal was saying, like I totally vibe with getting shit for liking anime when you're a kid, but like anime is not just for kids in Japan, right? Like basically every age group has a show that they could vibe with.
Yeah, I would totally say that. I think like it's just like in America, some people like anime, some people don't. Some people like the animated cartoons that America created, some people don't. Some people like the live TV series, and some people don't. Just in Japan, there's a lot more anime that you may or may not like.
Gotcha. Yeah. So like the kids who, brought Bakugan to school, which was me, brought Bakugan to school and got bullied for it. Like someone that would be synonymous with that would be like the kid who wears a SpongeBob t-shirt to school. And they're like, SpongeBob SquarePants. And they're like, stop.
Yeah.
The American version of like bringing like an other culture's like item to school would be like a kid walking in with an AR-15 to a Japanese school and being like, all the kids like it in America.
It's actually kind of true.
Amazing.
No, so you know how like Pokemon is so big even in America, like
yes.
You don't like maybe you get bullied for like Pokemon a little bit, but like for the most part, most people are like, yeah, Pokemon's freaking cool.
Yeah.
But like Byakugan maybe was a little bit lesser known, so yeah, maybe like more people are like, what is that?
Yeah, I had a pretty substantial Byakugan collection in my time. I don't remember any of them now, but
well, you should have been bullied for not enjoying Beyblade the Superior.
I had a Beyblade. I had the Pumpkin King, and I never got to use him because nobody else collected Beyblades, and so I just had to sit here with the Pumpkin King and spin it on my tabletop alone.
But that's what I'm trying to get at. Like in Japan, this like anime is just more well known by everybody.
Yeah,
it's like you can understand it immediately. Like obviously it's in their language, it's immediately understandable, and it's more like live broadcast on TV for them. Like as opposed to us when we were growing up, if you wanted to watch Naruto, you better be up on Saturday night to watch Toonami. If you want to watch Pokemon, you better be up Saturday morning to watch Cartoon Network's. Did they have a segment for that? I don't even know. But like you better be up Saturday in the morning.
They had it with Code Lyoko, baby.
Yeah, Code Lyoko.
Yeah. I actually recently rewatched that. Apparently,
it's like the original Sword Art Online, man. Code Lyoko.
Does Code Lyoko hold up, Nick?
I just watched it. I think it was on Netflix in Japan, Japanese Netflix, but it was originally a French anime. I think.
Oh, really?
Animation.
Oh, cool.
I work with one of the other people who work at this coffee shop. He's 16 years old, and I was like, Code Lyoko, and he was like, no, a what? He was like, and I was like, Code Lyoko?
Dude, Code Lyoko, no.
Yeah, they're like, dude, you're pretty lame. You're old. And I was like, no, I'm not. No. I do a lot of whining. Just overall, I just whine a lot about things that other people don't relate to. And I think that's my draw,
Yes, yeah, absolutely. You age like a fine wine, one might say. I got you, bro.
You fuck boy so much.
Oh, dude, God, and Nick, I miss you. I definitely hope that when I come to visit you in Japan, that we can hang. You won't just leave me on the doorstep until I get a guarantor to allow me to visit the apartment.
Until I hang. I mean, I'll try and take off work. It'll be totally fine. Good time. Go to
sick.
Akihabara.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh man, the stuff we'll explore. Like I'm so excited, and I'm just so grateful to just the magic of technology that like I'm here talking to like an old friend and my co-host, and you get to meet Nick, and that right now it's morning over there. It's cold night here, and yet we can all come together and chat and talk anime and life. I don't know. It's just thank you both for being here. It's just it makes me really happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think what's really cool is that the three of us are all just sitting here having a conversation, but like, you know, everyone watching right now is just going to be like, hey, look at these three dorks talking about anime in Japan and being lame, man. But no, I'm just kidding. Brotaku's.
Yeah, like the listeners of Brotaku's Anime Club are
judging us. They're like, wow, look at these fucking weebs. But that brings me to all of our fellow Brotakus out there. Everyone, you know, Nick is an incredible guy. We loved having you on the show today, Nick. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your experience of living in Japan with us. I'm sure Pax and I can't wait to come and harass you and get the Japanese stare because we're loud and ignorant and we don't know what's going on.
And we normally do plugs. So if you're a 2-year-old in Japan, go to Nick's place.
He'll teach you.
He'll
teach you good.
He'll be American and male and
young. He'll hit all 3 checkpoints.
Yeah, you could tell him about all the shows about serial killing demon slayers that you watch, and it'll be amazing. But
use English if I steal your lunch.
Yeah.
But you've been so generous with your time, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
No, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It was great talking to you again, and it was really nice meeting you, Hal.
Oh yeah, it was so nice meeting you too, Nick. And for everyone out there, all of our Brotakus out there, thank you all so much for listening and watching today. If you liked what you heard, what you saw today, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, your favorite podcasting site. You know, it really, really makes a difference. We love having these episodes. We love talking to you. We love having guests on. Every review counts. It really does make a difference. And also check out our new YouTube channel. Instagram, we've got a Twitter, we've got a Facebook page, we got all kinds of stuff out there. Lots of ways for you to contact us, talk to us. You can email us at paxlilin@gmail.com. paxlilin@gmail.com. We have a Brotaku's Anime Club channel on YouTube. We search up at Brotaku's Anime Club on Instagram and Twitter, and we're there for you. Hit us up, tweet at us, talk to us. We want to hear from you. And both are currently in the works. They don't look super pretty yet, but we're gonna get on that. And we're super excited about putting out more video content because you can see us now. So for all you lovely theys and gentle thems, I'm Hal.
I'm Pax.
And we're the Brotakus. Thank you everyone so much. Have a lovely day/night.
See you next week, y'all. Bye.